Hey everybody, welcome to our next episode here of Brand Like a Boss. My name is Sanjeev from my real page, and each week I'm working with agents on helping them really go from being invisible to being irresistible right here in real time. So if you're brand new, first of all, to my real page's webinars, welcome. We have a full library of on-demand webinars that anybody can watch at any time. They're all recorded, so even today, if you want to go back and refer to it later, you totally can. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. If you need to reference that, you can go back there and check out a bunch of different topics that we cover. I'll quickly show my screen where you guys can see that as well too here. If I come to this page, all of our last three episodes of Brand Like a Boss are featured. Plus, we do happen to have a lot of different master classes around our different tools inside of my real page, whether it be landing pages and brand app and listings and predefined searches, etc. And if you're brand new, you probably just want to start with the beginner masterclass. Every kind of webinar I do today with that of a realtor is going to be a lot more advanced. And because it's going to be advanced, it's so important that you have some fundamentals kind of underneath you to support your understanding. Now, today, I'm actually joined by Pete Chapman from Calgary, and I'm very excited to explore his business, talk about what's working, and I'll be showing his website here. We actually had kind of worked on a little bit of an update, together, Pete and I, about a couple of weeks back. So we already kind of revamped some of that, but I'm excited because Pete's going to be bringing in some different topics today for us related to landing pages and social media. And I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for us to talk about building some great strategies around that. Now, before we do, I always like to take the time to just review our last guest's, website. Lynn was on our show last week on Tuesday. Lynn, I see you plugging in here today. Great to have you back here with us. And we had gone through and just talked about how do we make this site even better than what it currently is. And we've taken a stab at that. The brand new site that we currently have sitting here on staging is right here. And so very excited to be able to release this for Lynn. We've really taken the time to just incorporate her branding right into the design, get that featured kind of look for that of the Edmonton area with that first kind of opening image. I should refresh this, by the way, too, just because I made a recent change prior to jumping on here today. And you'll notice that there's opportunities here now at the very top, right? Where it says, but why buy with me? Why sell with me? Seniors real estate guide. One thing that Linda told me is she worked with seniors. We want to make sure that was visible. We also have now dedicated related content pages for seniors too. So you'll see here, there's like, for example, 5 hidden challenges, the seniors roadmap from home to freedom, senior guides, same with the upsizing, right? You got like the ultimate 7-step family roadmap, 5 surprising challenges family face. And one of the things I mentioned in my last webinar was how important it is to utilize the ability to hook people to actually want to read content by leveraging a framework of curiosity through steps, lists, and checklists, or sorry, steps, lists, and what I call stories. And so you can use that to create really good top of funnel content pages. That's what we did for her. And again, if you scroll down the home pages, we'll kind of see that we got her accreditations put on there, her testimonials, reviews. This is the section I was kind of sharing with you just a moment ago on email that Lynn, just about helping you downsize, helping you upsize, having these things visible on the home page, and understanding how much imagery also affects people's understanding of what something is, right? We all heard the saying before, picture speaks 1,000 words. Sometimes you can communicate so much more with just imagery when done right. So I love the fact that we've done that here for you, and it's looking fantastic. So we'll go ahead and publish this soon. One thing I mentioned, obviously, to you, Lynn, just in our last kind of interaction, is that you can basically have a carousel of these different images and clips going on the homepage. And I'll send you a message afterwards as to how you can go about doing that, just because you can have this rotate with a different, let's just say, call to action for a senior or a call to action for that of a someone looking to upsize. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. And you can do different images and videography in the back really easily with my real page. So I'll send you a video on that, just that we've already kind of done before, some training on that. You can obviously customize it as you see fit. But we're going to go to move on now. I'm going to chat here now today with Pete, and I'm very excited to have you here, Pete. Welcome to our show. This is Pete's website over here, you guys. And Pete, why don't we kind of get started by maybe just talking about what brings you here today? I know we kind of spoken before. Maybe tell people a little bit about yourself first of all, too, like just as your kind of agent experience thus far, how long you've been with my real page for, and just some of the challenges you're kind of bringing to the table here for us to talk about.
You bet. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're loud and clear, my friend.
Yeah, so I've been in real estate for about 17 years, really went full time about 10 years ago. And the website obviously is a critical component of that. And I have really tried quite a few different service providers and then actually even built my own site on WordPress just because I was finding with some of the other service providers, I wasn't able to edit the headers, edit the scripts, so that you could get better SEO ranking, like organic ranking, etc. But it just became so impossibly challenging to maintain it and update it constantly. And so a couple years ago, I went to you guys and again, from an affordability perspective, it was excellent. And then the actual back end and the website that was produced was probably the best I had seen. So, and then just with these recent updates here, it's gotten even better. I mean, I can't believe what I'm looking at. It's so
That's
much better
awesome.
than what I've done in the past, for sure.
That's awesome. No, thanks to you. I appreciate that. One
Yeah.
thing about Pete, you guys, Pete had reached out and we had talked a little bit a while back. I wasn't able to try to look up his former site, but he was using one of our older themes and just kind of playing around with the page for the most part. And, with this whole revamp, I think one thing I really liked about Pete's website, because he's already put a lot of work into it. One thing I really liked about it was his about page. He had really done a good job of having like his designations, kind of what he's doing, who he's helping, accolades and awards kind of visible on the page, which is great. And I also love the whole family shot as well too, because one thing about people coming to these pages, something I talk about in my 23 point framework webinar, is using your about page to communicate your authenticity, your engagement, your connection with your audience. And a great way to do that is leveraging the unity principle, which is how people typically just like doing business with people that they like and trust, that also come across and appear as if they were like them. So family people may also enjoy working with Pete because of the fact they also see Pete with his kids here. So I think that's awesome, Pete. Great job, obviously, just overall with what content you're bringing. Because at the end of the day, even on our side of things, we can only do so much when we use, let's just say, stock photos, etc. So I love when clients bring their own stuff to the table because it gives us more to work with and it allows us to be able to really kind of do some great things here. So great job, and I'm really glad. Like I said, this is a total beauty of a site now. Like, just I can imagine even how you're sharing it with people as well too. It's very exciting. A couple of things before we dive into some of the challenges you're bringing to the table here, as it relates to social media and landing pages and stuff like that. One thing I'd love to ask you, or kind of bring up here, as far as a extra page you can add to what you currently have here that you don't maybe have right now, is a page related to your marketing strategy. So right now we obviously have this kind of little kind of breakdown here at the bottom, but having like a dedicated page and just maybe make that like a to-do list, something we can get back to a little bit later, is building out a page that just talks about what do you do to market people's homes. And they can just kind of go through that of like a list of like, oh, here's what you get for working with me. And you can also showcase some of those things too, whether it's like your open house sign or whether it's like your Facebook post or like your ad stuff that you send out, like, and it just gives people the opportunity to understand like this is what's included. Or if you do like a 4K video that you have the rights to be able to use for some marketing, showcase that 4K video and let people actually see the brilliance behind that. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's just something I'll just kind of jot down here. We can always talk about that later, but that's just a page you can add. Perfect. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about what we're here to chat about, which is to do with social media. It has to do with landing pages. Tell me a little bit about this, and we can dive right into it. And I've got your stuff pulled up here too, so if you want to reference anything, we totally can.
Yeah, as you can see, the social media is, I mean, it's hand done every time. I don't like the look of it. This is stuff that I just clipped out of Google Images and, added my logo to it. It doesn't look great. And I see a lot of my competition really putting clean, consistent, social media stuff up, and I know there's an opportunity to do that in the back end with my real page. So I really need to get that something easy as well that I can do very quickly, because if I can't do it quickly, I just won't do it. And I need
Yeah,
to.
sure. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about this to begin with, and probably maybe around the halfway mark, we'll transition and talk a little bit about landing pages. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for those of you guys who don't know this, like we do have a marketing tool, and it's a tool that's called Brand App inside of your My Real Page backend. So we're logged back here inside here, and like Pete just mentioned, we don't want this to become something that is cumbersome. We want it to be set up, ready to go, not something you have to tweak every single time. That's the whole idea of creating templates. And so we see here we have two options, marketing and print, and we got market online. And in this case, we're really talking about marketing things on social media and using some sort of a template to be able to do that. Right now, there are no templates underneath this section. So we're going to click on template library, which is where we're going to see different formats. So whether I'm looking for something for Facebook, whether I'm looking for something for Instagram, perhaps that of Twitter or X, I have the ability to choose from here. And then based on kind of sometimes what themes you have, we've already kind of created some designs over here as well too. Now, at this point, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build something here for Pete and his actual brand. So we may, let's just say, start with what we have over here to work with, but eventually we're really gonna, take it up a notch and kind of brand it the way that we really want, so that ultimately his designs are, looking polished with his website and his brand. Now, for the sake of our time today, I will go through and kind of demonstrate how we would create one of these just so that we can see it in real time. But then, Pete, afterwards, what I'll actually help you do is I'll help you create ones for all the different types of dimensions, right? Like, for example, when you're on Facebook, this is a square post like this, right? If I open this up, you can see the dimensions of this post, right? But then if you, let's just say, want to share something on your story, as you know, stories are nice and tall, right? They're going with like the 9 by 16 look like this, as you can see over here. So ideally, when you guys are creating social media content, you don't want to just use like a square post for a tall post, because it's not going to actually really come across the way you want it to come across, nice and polished. So ideally, you have your sets of everything. You have your set for Instagram. So even this, like, square as well too. Like, yeah, there's a certain dimension for this as well too that you have to keep in mind, just as much as you have to do for Facebook. So essentially, we build all these things out. It's the reason why you'll notice here it says Instagram post version, or it says story version 2, or whatever it is. And so it's basically, already formatted in a way where it's kind of fit for that specific platform. So what we'll go ahead and do, we'll just go ahead and pick one of these right here. I'm just going to go ahead and choose one. Let's go ahead and choose this one over here. It's going to work for both Facebook or that of Twitter. So it's going to kind of accomplish both in terms of the actual layout for this. Let me just double check that. Actually, it's a little bit different in size. We'll just change that down to Facebook. Okay. So this is the actual kind of like beginning of this whole design. So, what I'm working here with is I got the address, I got, the area, I got the price. There's a logo section. There's a photo over here. We're just going to move that up a little bit. With these guidelines, we got the label that says just listed here off to the side. So let me share with you guys how I would basically take Pete's kind of web page over here and essentially using his logo, using his brand, essentially build him his design. So I'm going to grab this logo here. I'm going to grab this photo over here as well too. And what I also need to know is I just need to know his accent color, which I can just use a tool online to be to pull up a tab to just kind of know what this hex color is. Now you probably already know what your hex color is offhand, but I necessarily didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull this up here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this specific little quadrant here. I'm going to change that color. So this color we're going to obviously have, basically set up to be his brand color, as you can clearly tell. Then this label that says the word just listed, this is going to be for sure connected to that of the status. Now, one thing I have the ability to do is I have the ability to adjust the fonts. And if I really wanted things to be consistent, I can come over here and say, okay, well, let's take a look at this. And I'm just going to use a tool to basically determine right now what's the font that's being used here. And we can see here the font is called Prada. So what I'm going to see, and I'm going to go back now and take a look here, is do we have the font Prada here as well too? And here it is. So I want this to look exactly like his website for consistency. So you can see here, I've updated that to being the exact same font. Now, the next thing I'm also going to look at over here is these guys off to the left-hand side. Right now we're missing his logo, so we should probably drop his logo in here. So we can click on pick image. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to where it says uploaded images. And it looks like Pete's already got some of his logos here. So this is great. We can go ahead and probably just drop one of these in and it'll probably just come in just fine. And then from there, we can obviously, resize and make it bigger if we need to, etc. So I'm going to maybe just kind of increase the size of this off to the side. So as you can tell, I can just hit that little plus button a couple of times and there it is. I want to make sure that top of that circle is not being cut. So there you go, nice and clean. And then the next part is this price is currently using the different text color. We want that text color to be changed to the same accent color, just like that. And then, like I said, the font type, let's make it all of it consistent. So we want that all to be Prada. So you can see here, change that as well too. And I want to make sure I can grab that text for the area as well too. We can also change that and make that as well too, the exact same font, right? So there you go. And so now we got the address, we got the area that's all kind of linked up inside this design. Now, a couple other things, and this is the extra stuff you can kind of like consider doing too, is we could also, for example, put in the beds, the baths, the price, the square footage. And you tell me there, Pete, do you think that'd be really helpful for people to see that off first glance, like bed, bath, area, price? What do you
Yes,
think? Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
Yeah.
So this is where some of these designs have this stuff already there. Some of these designs don't. So in this case, I don't have that part of my design, but I can add one. So you can see here it says place an icon over here. I also have the ability to add some text over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little text button. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just basically put in a text label over here, which will change the size and everything, you guys. But let's just go ahead and set this up for beds first. So we'll type in the word beds. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a ability for a text to also be kind of connected to this, but let's just kind of size this appropriately first. So I'm going to just lower the size down, align that to the left. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a second box. Now, to create a second box, rather than having to go back to text and do this all over again, if you highlight anything in your design and press the button Control D or Command D if you're using a Mac like I am, you'll be able to create a second box of the exact same height. Now, this is going to be that of like the number. So is it one bed? Is it two bed? Is it three bed? You name it. And this little number right here, you guys, this is one. I'm going to create a data connection so that that goes directly to the number of bedrooms. So now moving forward, this is going to update dynamically based on the listing that Pete has, which is going to be fantastic. The second thing we talked about is we also want to have like maybe an icon that represents the bed as well too, just so that it kind of makes this design a little bit even more polished. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in a little bit into the design by clicking on this. And I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to drop in like a little icon just right next to beds over here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on pick icon. And what I now have is I have the ability to search up all these different icons. And you can see here's some different bed icons that we can basically choose from. Okay. So we'll go and pick that guy right over there. Now, again, just to make it all like aesthetically nice with his kind of brand, I'm going to go ahead and just drop in his color as well too. So there you go. You got the little nice kind of bed color icon just like his. And if I want to do even further things now with alignments, you have the ability to align things by basically multi-selecting your content. So right here, I'm basically multi-selecting my content. I hold my shift button, I click more than one thing, and you'll now see that I have the ability to align things horizontally or align things vertically. So in this case here, you can see here it says align the centers or align the centers vertically like this. So that's exactly what I clicked. And now that I aligned the center vertically, it's exactly where it needs to be. So I'm not even like having to worry about like, oh, does that look good to the eye and kind of eyeball that thing? It's actually all kind of good to go, right? So in terms of beds, it says one, and then the other one would be that of bathrooms. And so to do bathrooms now, or baths that is, I can kind of just select everything I just did here and just press again the Control D or the Command D button. And I have now a duplicate that I can put right underneath. And I could put another duplicate right underneath when it comes down to that of the area square footage. And now I have the ability just to go in and just update the text. So this is going to be baths. And I'm just going to move this little number one a little bit over just so it's not too close. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this over here, the data connection to be that of number of bathrooms, as you can see there. So this one is connected to number of bedrooms. This one over here is connected to number of bathrooms. And the last one is going to be that of the square footage. Okay, so square footage. Again, we'll move that number off to the side a little bit. We can connect that right here to that of floor area, as you guys can see right there. It says floor area. And now we'll just go and change the icons, right? So that's the bed icon. Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be an icon for that, a bathroom. So if I type in bath, or let me just type in the word, sometimes it's not underneath expanded. Maybe I have to look underneath basic. So you can see there's one right there. And there's another one I maybe seen before as well too. Let me just type in the word shower. There we go. I like that one. Actually, I've used that one before. And then the last one, which is the square footage icon, there's also one for that of like floor area, and it looks like a little icon like this. I like this one specifically for it. So now all these numbers are connected. The icons are there. It says beds, bath, square footage off to the side. And then maybe one more thing I might want to do with this design now. So I'm just going to back it up a little bit. Okay. Is I might want to maybe drop in, let's just say maybe Pete's photo in here. If I wanted to, I totally could. Just to show kind of like you guys how this would work, I would come over here where it says the little place an image icon. And I can now drop in an image somewhere here. I'm just going to drop it in right here for now, but I'll tell you kind of what I'll do afterwards. Okay. So it creates a box where I can now basically pick an image. And as you can see here, by picking an image, I now have the ability to upload that of Pete's photo. So I'm going to go and drop it in. I actually, downloaded off of his website, and here it is now. There's Pete. So what I can now do is I have the ability now to choose where do I want that, let's just say, photo to appear. I could have it, for example, appear on the side like this, you guys. And matter of fact, if I now wanted to, let's just say I want this kind of part over here to maybe be a little bit longer, just so the words just listed don't kind of overlap. So if I wanted to, I could technically have it even more fancy if I wanted to, but let's just keep it simple for today. I can even go a little bit more, but we're just gonna keep it simple. I'm just gonna put Pete right off here to the corner, and this just listed part, we're just gonna have the blue part extend a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna toss in just another rectangle right over here. Let's just go and toss it in just like that. And we're just going to line that up just like this and fill that in with his color, as you can see right over here. And we're going to go ahead and just push that to the back now by clicking on this button that says right here, send to the back. And now take a look at this design. Pete, how are we doing here, huh? Looking
Love it.
pretty good, eh? Okay.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it looks really sharp.
So now, and this is just me kind of, playing around with this in less than 10 minutes, you guys. But keep in mind, Pete and I, and this is exactly what we are going to do, Pete. We're actually going to spend some more time going through this and polishing it up. But I just want to show people for demonstrations today just the cool things you can do with this, right? So now that this design is, let's just say, good to go. Matter of fact, with the whole beds, baths, and square footage thing, what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to see if I'm going to put this all in maybe one row instead. I actually like the idea better to put this in one row, and then I'll go in the center of that here in a second. So we'll just go like this. And now what we'll do is we'll just kind of highlight everything, and then we'll make sure everything is effectively centered horizontally here. So you can see here where it says align vertically, my bad. There you go. So you can see here now everything is in the perfect kind of sequence there. And again, if it bothers some of your guys' eyes to the fact that it's not aligned with the H of Hawkwood, then don't worry, we can move it over. Okay. So there we go, right? It's all good to go. Trust me, I have that kind of little thing going on with my eyes sometimes too. Like, it's not exactly where I want it to be. So let's just say we save this design. So this is going to be now called Pete's Facebook design for his post. Okay, so let's just go and save that. All right, now I'm saving this so I can show you guys now what I would be doing if I repeat now. So if I were now coming over here to start a brand new design, let's go to Pete's website real quick, you guys, and take a look at his listings. Right, so we just listed, let's just say 1542 Street today. Okay, so this just came in. We want to create a buzz around this. We want some exposure. We want to make the seller happy. How do we do that? So come over here, click on Market Online. You're going to come underneath now, Pete, underneath where you're going to see here. So going to be underneath your designs. I actually got to save this thing as a template, my bad. So the Save As button, there's going to be an option once you save it the first time, you come back the second time and just save this thing as a template. Now, I just got to give it another name. We'll just kind of put the word template here at the very end of it. So let's go ahead and click on Save here. So now what you guys are going to see here, if I just go back and refresh this, is if we go back and click on listings on social media, you will now see this located underneath your templates. So here's the cool thing now, Pete. If I click on this, you'll see that your listings will appear right over here. So all of your properties that you have in your backend they show up over here. When you click on them, basically all the content goes directly into the design. So you'll see now, look at that, right? Beds three, baths three, there's your square footage as well too. So I realized actually the word square footage actually comes in some of the different boards that we have, like it maybe doesn't come in like this. So the fact that it came in means I can delete this part in my actual template and I can just shift that thing over right next to that of the floor area. So I'll do that. Keep in mind, by the way, if I wanted to actually just remove this part, I can actually go in and now delete it. So that's the nice part too. This design is not necessarily like, kind of permanent. You can actually go in and kind of update some things and move things. And one of my favorite parts now as well too, Pete, is that you have the ability to change any one of your listing photos to any one of your photos from that property all over here without having to do any dragging of uploading or like anything. You can, and the cool part about this is you can actually like click on different ones and ask yourself, do I like that shot better? No. All right, let me go pick a different shot. And like rather than having to like drag and upload and right click and save and like stuff that you would do on Canva, you have the ability to do it kind of at a quick glance with just click, click, click. Make sense? Okay. So this idea is hopefully, Pete, when you were talking about this earlier, something that's easy, set for you, ready to go, that something like this could actually work. Is that
Yeah,
pretty cool
it's
or what?
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
love
exactly
it.
what I'm after.
I love it. So, guys, like I said, when we come back next week and showcase Pete's designs, I will show you guys what it looks like when you put time and effort into this. Again, I'm doing this on the clock. I'm doing this with a lot of pressure and eyeballs watching me. I'm just joking, right? I'm all good. But like the bottom line is that I want to show you guys what it also looks like if you just took the time to put some effort into it. Because you can see here, like I put this little thing here off to the side, but it wasn't maybe fully off to the side like it is now, right? Or like the square footage part, we found out that 1811 had the square feet after, so we can fix that. So I will show you guys next week what you can do when you put some time and effort into it. And like I said, we would build out this design not just for his Facebook, but we would do it for a story version. We would do this for that of his Instagram as well too, so that when he in the future is ready to make a post, he's just
Sanjeev, can you hear me?
okay. Well, that was a first for me. I just had my internet kind of just like, yeah, get disconnected. Can you hear me, Pete?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully you spot covered me for the last couple seconds there, hey? Share some
Right.
gold nuggets with everybody, huh? How to sell real estate 101 with Pete right
Yeah,
now. Okay.
exactly.
Webinar just changed. Webinar just changed.
Yeah.
Ready, let me go back and share my screen. Can you see it? All
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, you guys.
No
All
worries.
right. So now that we're back, let's kind of transition over and talk about the landing pages, Pete. Tell me a little bit about what you're after with landing pages, and let's go through potentially creating one here today for the objective that you have.
You bet. So one in particular is what did your neighbor's house sell for? I found in the past using other tools that was a really good way to get lead capture. So I would say, for example, I just sold a house at Hockley Valley Road. Find out what the sold price was here, or just simply something that says, "What did your neighbor's house sell for?" And sign up here, no spam, just find out that information just so I can get them in my funnel. And
Mhm.
like I said in the past, and with other tools, it's worked really well. But I'd like to have a static, kind of what you were talking about last week. You had mentioned there was
Mhm.
like a website or a landing page that didn't connect to the rest of your website that was used specifically for advertising and lead capture. So that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
after.
Love it. Okay, this is fantastic. So one thing I realized, and I'll quickly just fix this right now inside the page because I want to make sure that I update this, and it'll also connect back to what you're saying here, which is to find out what your neighbors sold for type of concept. So in Calgary, the real estate board doesn't have solds available where you can display any of your own sold listings. So I'm just going to delete that part right there. It was currently sitting on your seller's page. Some boards you're able to showcase, some boards are not. So I just want to make sure that's done. This right here, this button, I'm going to go to update this right now. What it's designed to do is it's designed to go to a page where we can have what you're talking about, Pete, and we're going to build it in two ways. The first way we're going to go ahead and quickly build this is creating it as a blank page. The second way we're going to go about creating this is as a standalone landing page in which you can really drive some kind of good traffic to and be able to really convert kind of your audience on that. Okay, so let's just kind of do this first. So the first page is, what your neighbors sold for. So this is a very popular type of a lead magnet. People as home sellers are very curious to know what prices I might have sold in your area, and creating a page that basically, showcases that is a great way to do this. So here underneath the page title, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type this in, which is, find out, what your neighbor sold for, and I'll just put the word Pete Chapman afterwards on this. So put remove subtitle there. Um, in Calgary and Pete Chapman real estate. Okay, so that's just the page title. A quick page description. We can just put that in. So find out what your neighbor recently sold for. Compare sold prices today. Okay. And we'll go ahead and click on the button create. Now, you can obviously make this a little bit more descriptive afterwards. I'm going to go in here now and show you guys really what we're looking to do. So first things first, let's go ahead and drop in the listing block that's going to feature all of this. So I'm going to go and drop in this block. This block essentially has all the listings, but in this board region for Calgary, there's a sold toggle, as you can see right over there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and come over here to the listing section, and we're going to go ahead and enable that so that the status by default is going to be showing sold. It's not going to be showing active. As a result, what we're going to then see is you're going to see that all the listings now below are now actually masked and only require a sign up or login in order to view. Now, above this, we're probably going to want to add some context, like some sort of a title that has some sort of text. And so I'm going to go and pick this guy over here in terms of our marketing section. We'll go ahead and delete some of the boxes that are there. And keep in mind we're working on actually updating this entire section. So I'm actually excited about being able to release a couple of new blocks to you guys with a whole kind of new block library as our team's diligently working on just making it easier for you to add different blocks for text content, etc. So in this case, now we have an opportunity for a headline, subtitle, and some paragraph text underneath that. Let me just quickly save what I've done here so far. Perfect. Okay, so let's go and type it in. So first things first, we'll type in the title and make this say curious to know what your neighbor sold for. Okay, and then the subtitle we can put in the word compare sold prices today to find out what your home could be worth. Okay, and the text underneath this is we can add some kind of layers to this. So one of the things that I personally like to add, Pete, this is something I've seen kind of really work well, is we want to add some kind of explanation as well too as to why this stuff is like requiring an account to preview. And I say this because maybe you're kind of the same mind there, Pete, but like people are sometimes reluctant to give their information, especially if they know they can maybe get that information elsewhere for free. That makes sense, okay?
Yeah, and they don't want to get spammed as
And
well
they don't
and
want to get
added to
spammed. You got
multiple
it.
lists and all that kind of stuff,
Exactly.
right?
So one way to basically lower people's perception of that is just to tell them what's going to happen, right? Like describe the process. If you're going to click on this, what is expected to happen and why is that all there in the first place? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back and now to edit this text, and I'm just going to write a quick blurb here, based on some stuff that I've done in the past. So for example, I can write here, due to board regulations, sole data is restricted uh, um, unless you sign up for a free account. Um, and then we can go on to say, don't worry, this is not about withholding information. And I'm going to put here, it's simply about abiding by the rules. That being said, you won't receive, unsolicited emails or offers. So go ahead and sign up today to find out what your neighbor sold for. So something like this, and obviously we can polish that up a little bit further. And Pete, you can go in here and update this however way you wish. The nice part is that you're really taking the time to just kind of lower down those barriers for people, so that they're like, yeah, I'd love to now go ahead and click on this little button and take a look at what this home sold for. So this is a very simple page now that is going to be connected to this button right over here on your selling page. So this part right here that says find out what your neighbor sold for, we're going to go ahead and now just connect that button directly to this brand new page that we just created. So if I just type this in over here, we now have a page that's called find out what your neighbor sold for. Here it is. Click on done and click on done and click on apply and save. So now from this page, people can now get to that of the home neighbors sold for page right here. Now,
Love it.
additionally, what we're also going to do, Pete, is we're going to make sure people don't miss this. And that's the reason why I always tell people there's two ways. You always want to maybe kind of think about how you consider having people get to pages. One is your menu, as you can clearly see here, and the other one is just page content, which is what we did right over here. So when people clicked on this, they came here. But we also don't want people to have to click there and do 2 clicks to get here. Why not just have 1 click to get there? And that would be essentially what the selling menu would be for. So underneath selling, we're going to add a brand new tab over here. And that tab, what we're going to call it, can be the exact same thing. So we'll just go and add it maybe right after home evaluation. And what we can do is we can have it say, find out what your neighbor sold for. And that's the label of that in the menu. And you can truncate that if you wanted to. You can abbreviate that however way you wish. Just going to show you how I would do it myself right now. And you can see here that if I refresh you guys, that now it has find out what your neighbor sold for. How good is that, right? So, personal opinion, by the way, too, just as far as labeling menu items, I'm totally fine with my sub menu having more words. It's the main menu that I try to refrain from having too many words. The main menu, you want to keep it clean. So if you use like one word, kind of like home, search, buying, selling, that's fine. Or even the word meet, Pete. Obviously, there's very small characters there. Total of like, as you can see, 8 max. That's fine. But find out what your neighbor sold for would never really be my top line item. That would just be too long. Okay, so in the menu right now, this is fantastic. So you can see here, if now Pete says to me as a client, or he's doing an ad and he says, hey Sanjeev, go to my website. Underneath my selling tab, you can actually find out what your neighbor sold for. If he says that messaging anywhere now, it's not like a question mark to me as to how I'm going to find it. If I go to his page, follow his instructions, go to selling, I'll find out what my neighbor sold for. And there it is, right? So if I click on this, take a look at this, it takes me directly to the page that says, curious to know what your neighbor sold for, compare sale prices today to find out what your home could be worth. And then I can go in, create the account, and basically go through the whole process, and he receives the lead. Now, the next part of this, Pete, like we just talked about, is how do you make it a dedicated landing page? And let's talk about this. And also understand why the importance of that is as well, too. Matter of fact, maybe I'll actually position a question to you, Pete, even though I'll obviously educate everybody else about it, but perhaps you already know the answer. Why would we also want to take this page, which is currently a page inside of our site, and also turn it into a landing page outside of the site? Why do you think that would be important?
I'm not recalling what you had explained the last time. I know that it
Okay,
made
yeah.
sense to me though. If you, yeah, go for it. I
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah, yeah.
I don't remember.
No worries. Yeah, no worries, guys. And this is the whole thing that I'd like to, leverage as an opportunity for education, is that when it comes to landing pages, do we really want people to like click around on the menu on a landing page, or do we want them to be able to solely focus on the content in front of them? Which one is it, Pete?
Yeah, exactly. That's the latter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the latter, right? We don't want this whole distracting, like, click here, click there, go to the homepage, sign up. It's just the sole data. That's all I want you to have to think about. So if I'm gonna, run an ad for this, perhaps I'm gonna run a Facebook ad, perhaps I'm gonna run like a, Google ad, pay per click of some kind, it would be a wasted pay per click if people could have the ability to go somewhere else. We wanted to dedicated go to that specific page and nowhere else. And so this is how you would go about doing this. You have the page already created. What we're going to do is we're going to click on these three little dots and we're going to click on this button that says Save Page As. And this is your shortcut to like copying or duplicating a page within your current site. And in this case, that's what I'm doing. I will also show you guys afterwards. You could have done this from the previous screen over here in the back end when you click on websites and click on brand new page. Could have done it that way as well too, but we're gonna go about it the way I'm describing to you guys right now. Okay. So it says save page as. Now, in this case, this is my landing page. I'm just gonna type the word LP at the very end of that. Excuse me. I'm going to type the word LP at the very end of that for landing page. And the page title, page description, I'm going to keep it the same. I don't necessarily have to change that. It's just out of the URL part over here. You have to change it. It can't be the exact same page name. So I've gone ahead and just put the word LP there, click on the word save page, go to the new page. So now we're on the brand new page, which is his landing page. Looks the exact same as the last one because that's what we did. We cloned the page. The only difference now is we're going to go underneath page settings. And this is the part where Pete, just moving forward, you can go landing page galore within your website. I will also talk about for you guys just some like best practices for landing pages here because there's two ways to go about doing it. But this will allow, for someone like Pete or anybody here watching this webinar, it will allow you to build landing pages galore, like however many different use cases, campaigns you're thinking about. You can go after that by just simply changing the page itself after you clone it to that a page specific detached. Now, what that does is it basically means that now I have the ability to only on this one page change this little menu bar here at the top. And what I mean by changing the menu bar is I don't want to display any options. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead now where it says number of left item menus to display, I'm going to go and choose that to hide. So there's not going to show any menu options. That's the first thing. The second thing as well too is I need to make sure underneath the mobile menu is that all the mobile menu stuff is also hidden as well too. So where it says always show mobile menu button, we're going to go ahead and remove that as well too. So that's also not visible as well either. Now, here's this number of menu items to display. I'm also going to hide those so they're not going to show up on mobile like this as well too. So those little triggers that I just did right there so far basically eliminate all of that. So take a look at this clean bar now at the top, right? Do we see any menu items? Definitely not. And you see the sign up and connect thing. We're going to also remove that as well too. So those are buttons. We're going to remove that button. Where it says contact though, this one right here is going to just simply say what we want people to do, which is view sold data. And all we wanted to do is to always go back to the same location, which is the location of where the sold data is currently residing. So scroll to location is a very helpful tool when you just want people to just kind of like go back to a specific section on the page if they've maybe scrolled down too far. So you can see here now, it says view sold data at the top. So even as people are scrolling down like this, if they click on this button, take a look at this, it brings them back to that section. You see what I mean? Okay.
So
So it just
cool.
keeps things nice, kind of like UI wise, like I don't care if I'm even on mobile, right? If I just shrink my screen now just to help you guys understand, again, most people are going to be on mobile anyways. As they open up this little, drawer, look at how the only option in this drawer is view sold data. It's not like, oh, here's your buying page and selling page. And nope, it's just that. So if you click on that, it basically scrolls people to that section where they can start viewing that of the sold listings. So that's very important to have. Now, the other thing that we're going to fix up here is at the very bottom. So you see how we got links down here, guys? We don't want the links. we're going to get rid of the links. Okay. We only wanted to have his information, call, email me. His socials are totally fine, and his brokerage kind of information is totally fine as well, too. So where it has the links over here, all I'm going to maybe effectively do here is I'm just going to hide this part. So the content section, I can click on hide. The list section, which is where all these things are located, I can also click on hide, which means that the only thing that's visible here at the bottom now is that of his actual office information over here. Okay. And if I want to format this a little bit later, I totally can. If I wanted to, I could have this over here up there instead, and we can basically remove the socials. Matter of fact, maybe I'll actually just do that right now, just because I feel like that's going to be a better layout for him. And that's what I'm going to go for. So we're going to go ahead and just basically come over here at the top. Right now, this is currently showcasing socials. If I want to hide the socials, I can hide them, and I can come over here where it says branding and essentially do what we did on the other one, which is have the logo. So we want the logo to show, and this is the actual logo right here. So you can see here, Remax logo comes in. And then the other part of it was that I think it was just the contact info that was displaying, if I'm not mistaken, underneath that section. I'm just going to double check. It is underneath contact info. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's go over here, contact info. There we go. Click on apply. Automatically it comes in. And now we're just going to go in and format this so it's aligned to the left. And we'll just increase the size of it as well too, just so that people can see it a lot better. There it is. And now we can get rid of this entire thing at the bottom. Okay. So that's a clean footer for Pete. This is the way I would do this. So it's nice and clean. Now when people obviously scroll down, it's got the right things there. The other thing, and this is just something I just noticed is missing on this page, is we want to just add the brand new My Real Page footer. The brand new My Real Page footer has something that is important for any form of advertising, is you need to make sure that you have a clear privacy policy on your page. So if you don't have that, anytime you're doing any form of advertising, you won't be able to actually, do that without getting flagged, just so you know. Okay. So now that I've kind of identified that, let me just go ahead and quickly find it. This should have already been on here. So let's just go ahead and toss it in there right now. I'm just going to copy this from a different demo site that I'm on, and I'm just going to go and drop it in now. So here's his last part, which is that of the privacy policy. So you see here at the very bottom, you guys, 2025 copyright Pete Chapman, and it says all rights reserved. Privacy policy is right there. Okay. So that's a very important part to obviously, have at the very bottom of your page. So now this page, I just want to now show you guys, is the landing page. There it is. Okay. It looks beautiful, just nice, clean, has the focus of what it is. And now for Pete's advertising purposes, let's just talk a little bit about this, you guys. His domain, which is this domain right over here, pchapman.ca, okay? That domain is just going to go in the front of this specific URL. So when he's basically going about promoting it, this is the promoted page right over here, Pete. Make sense? Okay.
Yep.
So moving forward, if you want to just strictly advertise this page, not within your website, even though you could do that as well too. So if we go back to Pete's website, you guys, he technically has now 2 pages he can share. Does he want to share the link to this page, or does he want to share the link to this page? And the difference between the two, as you can clearly tell, is menu or no menu. And again, if that was his sole focus, which is that of getting people to sign up, I would be sharing this page over here if I were him. So if this was his Facebook profile that we're talking about, and that of creating a brand new post, and I'm logged into my account here, so I'm just going to quickly show people this so they can kind of bring everything together now, is when you're on your page, you can now come over here where it says post, and you can drop in your link. And automatically there's going to be something coming in right over here, which is the preview. So you'll notice it says find out what your neighbor sold for, and it has like the actual page title and description that we typed in earlier. And if you want to go one step further, Pete, to just make it even more specific, that little graphic that showed up as a preview, technically you can change it for every single page. So where it says featured image, technically we can build out a graphic for this, and the graphic would actually show up as the preview image right over here. So all you got to do is just have some little kind of caption over here that you can generate off of ChatGPT. Then you have your little image pop up like this. And so when you click on post, you'll notice that that image goes in automatically, and you're kind of all set, which is awesome, right? So you can see exactly how this will look like is basically the whole concept behind it, right? Which is perfect. Okay. So what do you think about that, Pete?
I
Look
love
good to
it.
you?
Totally love it. Yeah, this is
Okay.
one quick question though is on the like if you view this on a desktop, obviously you don't want to have like a call now button. But I have seen the ability where if they're viewing from their phone, a call now button is added kind of in the background just for mobile viewers. Is that possible?
hmm Great question. Yeah. So probably with some like, tweaking, we can probably do that. It's probably not something that's a toggle or an option off of this thing. Keep in mind, this button that says, view sold data could also say call now as well too, or it can also say the word call and have the phone number there. Now, personally, because there's no like actual way to like, do it inherently like as it is. I usually go like this. I'll basically put in like a phone number icon like this and still link it to your actual phone number. It's just the fact that when people click on it on desktop, it's just not going to obviously do anything per se. As in, that's the reason why I always tell people don't have it say the word call now because on desktop nobody can see what the phone number is. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay. But if I put the phone number like this and then I put this right here that says TEL 403-831-1242, the nice thing now is that on a mobile phone, people when they click on that, they're going to actually be able to call. So
Yeah,
now that
that
I
makes
leave it like
perfect sense.
this, yeah, you got it. Awesome. Okay. So, and even if you see this, and sometimes you can see it, it depends on my screen share. But if I click on that, it says now open FaceTime on my Mac, right? Which is obviously the default kind of trigger if you're doing this on a desktop. But now my phone, when I click on this, you're 100% right. You're going to be able to actually have this dial directly to your phone number, which is awesome, right? So you can see
Yes.
here now these two buttons, right? View sold data. Here's your phone number, right? And there's another phone number button down here at the bottom. So technically it's already there, but if we wanted all of it to kind of be at the top, we can just kind of do it that way, which is totally fine. That's like typically what we call the secondary menu part right here. This stuff is showing up. So I can hide these labels as an example, and then we can just have your email. Let me just kind of grab this guy right over here. And we can just add this as another button technically if we wanted it to be. So if this is like the email part, we just change this thing to a mail icon. And then way we have, let's take this one right here. And this would be the mail to symbol, and that's it. So this guy right here is now how the button would look like this, if you wanted it to be. And then obviously I would just maybe delete one of these buttons, like let's say view sold data is deleted. Now it's just like that, right? So you see phone number, you see email, and if you shrink it to that of mobile, you'll see it says this. Make
Perfect.
sense,
Yep,
right?
perfect.
And then, like I said, I think we should just hide the other stuff. I don't know why that was in hit. Oh, I think I forgot to just maybe just delete them. Social media, hide those in that view, and the mobile menu. Oh, here it is. Hide the secondary menu bar. That's all I needed to do. Okay, so now as you can see here, guys, on mobile, that same page, when it loads here, I'll just quickly show it to you one last time, is going to actually display only phone and email. So when people open up that side drawer, that's all they see. If they click on this, by the way, it will email it directly to Pete, and it will also call him directly on mobile. And reality is majority of people are going to actually visit this page on mobile. Everybody's on their phones these days. 90% of people have seen stats on this, you guys. 97, I think it's 80 to 90% of people today visit websites on phones. Google's long changed its initiative as well too with that of how it ranks sites for SEO. They rank sites for SEO based on mobile experience first. They don't even check desktop anymore. So that's how important your mobile experience ought to be today. But anyways, Pete, hope that helps. I love the fact that you're able to use this starting today. You can go ahead and start, advertising this. And check this link out. I'll quickly drop this in the chat for you as well too. So if you just want to kind of save it, you already got it, and you can go ahead and run with it. One thing I will mention, guys, is that there's a big difference between creating a landing page the way we did right now versus the way you would do it if you bought a domain. So I just want to wrap it up with these last couple thoughts. And then afterwards, Pete, I'll just maybe have you share any final thoughts about this whole experience. And we'll kind of wrap it up with that. But underneath this section called domains, imagine for a second, Pete, you told me I have a domain, Sanjeev. The domain is called your Calgary home sold search.ca. Like let's just say that's what the domain was called. If you said to me, I want to create a landing page for it, what you wouldn't do is you wouldn't direct that landing page to a page like this. You would instead build a brand new website and choose the option for landing page over here. And the reason for that is because if you want that domain to be something that people see at the top of their address bar without redirecting to that of pchapman.ca, then it needs to act as its own independent website from that of your current page. If you guys ever connect two domains to the exact same site, it will cause issues for you when it comes down to indexing by Google. So for example, right now you see how you have peterchapman.ca pointing here to this page. Pete, do you see
Hmm.
this? Okay.
Yeah.
This
And I need
technically,
that fixed, obviously.
exactly. So rather than having it this way, it's an easy fix. All we're going to do is we're going to drop this in and basically hit save. So all we did here, guys, just to slow it down, is we're redirecting any other domain that Pete has that goes to his primary site to the primary domain. You can only have one primary domain for your web page. You cannot have two. If you do two, you now confuse Google on which one's the primary, and now all of a sudden it's got duplicates indexed in their search engines, which can cause your pages to be deranked essentially because it's going to say that you have clones out there of these two different pages, or it may end up then indexing the wrong domain. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and hit save. You're going to now see it says external 301. That's the exact word that we wanted to say. So if I click on this now, Pete, take a look at what happens. If I click on test, look at how it goes now to
Wow.
pchapman.ca.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So
That's
it's all
exciting.
good.
Thank
You're
you.
all good. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. So in the future, again, if you know, I'm speaking to everybody on this call that's watching and listening to this in a recording. If you're thinking about all these different unique use cases for campaigns of domains like, you know, your ex school catchment search.com, well, great. Like again, if you're gonna do that as a landing page and you want it to be like as like an ad kind of format, you have to ask yourself this question: do I want it to be like the domain that people see here at the top? Or do I want it to be redirected to that of my main page, which you totally can. So it's a question of just simply how you want to market the domain. Should it be visible or should it be redirected? Just keep in mind, you cannot do redirected domain URLs in ads. You will get flagged for doing that. The actual URL for ads has to be the same matching URL destination that people land to. So Pete couldn't, for example, buy a domain that said, hey, you know, calgarysoldata.com and then run an ad for it, and it flips over to pchapman.ca / what your neighbor sold for. He would get flagged and his ad would be completely discontinued at that point in time. So the real URL that he would have to be using in that ad is this URL that we have right over here. So just a quick little kind of tip for you guys in case you didn't know what the difference is between the two. And I know it can be a little bit confusing. So if you ever have any questions, just reach out. I'm happy to obviously give you the recommendation for what your specific purpose and intent is. So that brings us to a wrap. We're 1 minute basically away from 11 o'clock here Pacific. Pete, tell us about the experience. Hey, how was today? How did you find this whole Brown Like a Boss series so far? And yeah, we'd just love to have your closing thoughts as we kind of finish up for today.
Honestly, I think it's pretty shocking. I was not expecting this. This is so over and above. I don't know. I'm just really, really pleased. I'm really excited actually to start using this and start building out those templates and, like you said, really refining them. I had no idea that there was that much capability here. So, yeah, I'm excited to go back and play with this and actually start advertising. So, yeah, really excited.
Love it. That's awesome. Well, this has been great here having you as well, 2P. I love what the flavor you brought here for today. Not necessarily that of a website rebuild, but the extension of my real page, which I've said this many times that my real page is not a website company. We're really a partner in your success by providing you tools in this digital landscape that we're in today that go way and well beyond a web page. I'm a big believer that, paying for what my real page is as a website strictly is potentially an expensive business card online. And if that's kind of what you're looking for, there's no doubt in my mind you can always find that somewhere else. But if you're actually looking to grow here, that's what my real page is for. the tools that we're inventing, the places that we're pivoting to, the considerations we take from our audience when we spend some time listening to your guys' feedback. It's all designed to really help you kind of push that needle forward and be able to separate yourself as an agent. So, Pete, thanks again for being on the show. Really appreciate your kind words as well to today. And I'll definitely follow up with you on some next steps coming out of here with the brand app designs and making sure you're comfortable with using this whole landing page. Okay.
Yeah, outstanding work. Extremely grateful. Thank you very much for everything. This has just been fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Okay, guys, take care. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Canada Day to everybody from yesterday, and we'll chat soon. Okay. Take care, guys.